And the entity obviously did not appear to Waraka, and there's nothing in your source history that states that the entity appeared to Waraka or identified itself as Gabriel. How would Waraka know who was in the cave?
I told you. Remember what I told you before? I said,
No.
Allahu Alam. Only God knows.
Thank you. What's up, guys? Brother Maverick here to give you a quick bit of context before the conversation starts. Now, in this live discussion, I was speaking to a guy named Hash Brown, a Muslim who called in to speak about the incident in the Cave of Hira. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Cave of Hira is where Muhammad, who is a prophet to Muslims, supposedly encountered the angel Gabriel for the first time, culminating in what we now know as Islam. But that incident does not come without a boatload of uncomfortable questions for Muslims. And Hash Brown, he did hang in there for a while, but did he give any real, actual, or legitimate answers to this discussion? I'll let you be the judge. Let's man up. Yeah, bro, I appreciate you, man. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. I can't complain. All blessed through the glory of God. You know what I mean? So yeah, brother, did you want to talk about the prompt?
Yeah. What's false about Islam's origin?
Well, the origin story, the foundational event is the encounter in the Cave of Hira with Muhammad, yes?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So, just to be completely fair, I'm just gonna let you know I'm not gonna blaspheme. I expect you not to blaspheme. I want to have a respectful conversation. I want this here to be different. You know what I'm saying? I think that Muslims and Christians have been at each other's throats a lot, and it's fine. It's great for clicks, but at the end of the day, I don't think it does anything for the soul. Would you agree?
Great.
So, yeah, I will respect Muhammad and Allah, despite the fact that I don't believe in either one of them, but that doesn't mean I need to disrespect you or what you believe.
Okay.
So here's my thing. From an academic standpoint, the reason that I feel there's an issue with the Cave of Hira is because what happened to Muhammad was actually an adversity instead of a blessing. If we look at, I do have the debate brief here, so I'll bring it up. If we look at sources like Sahih al-Bukhari 6982 and 4953, it talks about the things that this entity did to him, where they were repeatedly squeezing him, commanding him to recite, which is very unkind considering that Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't read and write, which wasn't too uncommon. It wasn't uncommon for people back then to be illiterate. But you would think that if this was an angel, he obviously would know that Muhammad cannot read and write, right? And making him recite or making him read is like, well, what are you doing? He struck fear into him. Muhammad requested to be covered because he felt very cold. He had to consult with Khadija and Waraka. And Waraka was the one who identified and said, well, this was Gabriel. The problem with that, brother, is that we have an established behavior pattern for Gabriel, and it's nothing like that. And I would want to start with the first question is that in the instances that we know where Gabriel interacted with people, when he interacted with Zechariah, when he interacted with Daniel, when he interacted with Mary, he immediately identified himself. There was no ambiguity to who it was that they were talking to, right? So my question is, how could Waraka possibly know that this was the angel Gabriel, especially considering that Muhammad was afflicted in a way that none of these other biblical figures were they afraid? Absolutely. When they saw the angel, absolutely. But immediate clarity was provided to those individuals. That was not the case with Muhammad. What we feel was that he was attacked by a demon in the cave. And that's why I say, if this encounter was exactly what I think it is and what it sounds like, then Islam is false. Does that make sense?
Okay. To be honest, I don't agree with your premise that just because someone is afraid or because he didn't immediately identify himself, then that means it wasn't the angel. It was, what did you say? You said it was a demon?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't agree with that premise because even if you look at Surah Maryam, when the angel Gabriel came to her, she told him to stay away. I don't want any man to touch me, and she was afraid of him in the beginning. So that's not the only thing. And also, what's it called? If you're getting revelation, it's like it's not supposed to be a friendly meeting. This is like revelation crashing into a human being. Even in one verse, it said in English, I don't remember because I speak Arabic. He said, if we sent the Quran on a mountain, you would see it humbled and shattered. So this is not, it's not meant, you're not meant to feel safe in the moment. You're meant to feel overwhelmed, because revelation is not ordinary speech. This is my opinion. And but yeah, so I don't agree with your premise. But this is it's like a matter of opinion. I don't think that defines prophethood. Like, what do you think about the prophet that doesn't make him a but no, that's not the prompt. Let's stick to the prompt.
Right. Yeah. We'll stick to the prompt for right now. And I appreciate your response. Obviously, you don't agree. That's fine. I expected you not to agree. But again, this is what I find interesting, because a lot of times when I speak to Muslims, this is essentially the same round and round that we end up doing. And it turns out to be that's what you guys are doing, is that you looked at Surah Medium, which is fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Because even then, it still aligns with what we look at in the book of Luke. When he approached her, she was afraid. And I did 100% make myself transparent about that. There's no ambiguity about the fact that these people were afraid.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, give me a second. What you're not getting into, though, is the fact that they were afraid and were provided with immediate identification. And they were immediately told, do not be afraid. I'm here to give you whatever. None of those people, after receiving revelation, ended up wanting to do the things that Muhammad wanted to do to himself, as far as unaliving himself, as far as trying to throw himself off the cave. Now, mind you, I'm using just your source material to show that this is what Muhammad said he wanted to do. Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, your opinion makes sense that revelation would probably cause people to freak out, because as human beings, we're not built to receive information, divine information like that. However, there's no instance in biblical history, if this is the same angel, where people reacted the way that Muhammad did. Does that make sense? And that's what I'm saying. Like, you're talking about the fear, and that's fine, but this is the repeated pattern. Muslims say, well, they were all afraid. Yes. But then what you are now obfuscating is Gabriel's immediate clarification, making sure there was no ambiguity in who he was speaking to, making sure they weren't afraid, and then giving them the revelation, which did not ever make any one of them want to take their own life. See what I'm saying?
Okay, so you said, what's it called? There's no biblical history for this?
There is no biblical history for the angel Gabriel interacting with someone and them wanting to throw themselves off a cave, or saying they felt like they were possessed or anything like that. I mean, not off a cave, off of a cliff.
No, but there's no biblical... no, not throwing off. You said terrified, scared, right?
No, I didn't say scared. That's not what I said.
Okay, but
I said they were scared, and then they were given comfort by the angels.
That's what I said.
Yep. Well, okay, but I can say the same thing. The prophet was then given comfort that this was revelation. He was not scared every time Gabriel came to see him. So it's the same thing. It's the first
that's fine. Awesome. But that's fine. Even if that were true, even if I granted that to you for the sake of conversation, that's fine. Yeah. Let's just say that's true. The fact of the matter is, you're still not addressing the fact that this is not Gabriel. You have to remember, if this is the same entity that approached him afterward, and he's getting Muhammad to do the things that he wants to do, there would be no reason for him to instill fear into Muhammad anymore. Because if he's causing him to ensure that there is quote unquote revelation coming to people, and that revelation is going to do nothing but what the Quran actually does, and pull people away from Jesus Christ as God, then that entity has no reason to make Muhammad afraid, because he's getting what he wants. But at the end of the day, the fact remains that there is no reason to believe, through the behavior patterns, right? In my line of work, there's something called modus operandi, behavior patterns.
We have a hadith that says that the angel Gabriel.
That's fine. That's again, but brother, here, okay, your hadith says that. I grant you that, no problem. The fact of the matter is, here, let me put it to you another way. If this took place in the cave, right? And he was squeezed to the point where he could not take it. He was told to recite, even though this entity knew that he could not recite. He told his wife that he felt that he was possessed by a jinn. He asked her to cover him. He ran all the way home, which we could assume was probably several kilometers, the cave, from where he lived, right?
Yes.
And then when he finally got there and told him this, Waraka was the one who said, "Oh,
Waraka ibn Nawfal, yeah.
yeah, that was the angel Gabriel. He identified the visitor as Namas of Moses." Okay,
No,
great.
yeah.
Now, here's the issue again. At no point would Waraka have any idea who it was. The entity did not reveal itself to Waraka. It revealed itself to Muhammad.
Yeah, okay, but I don't get your point.
You don't get my point.
Yeah, because Waraka ibn Nawfal said this could be the angel Gabriel, right? And then afterwards, Gabriel confirmed and said, "Yes, I am the angel Gabriel." So, and also,
where did he confirm that?
From the hadith sayings of the Prophet.
Okay, but it didn't. So interestingly, you guys believe that the angel Gabriel was the one who brought the revelations of the Quran to Muhammad on behalf of Allah. Yes.
Yes.
And yet nowhere in the Quran is he identified as the one bringing that revelation. You need to go to hadith.
No, even in the Quran. But the Quran doesn't say the angel Gabriel by name, but he says...
Yeah, I know. That's the point. Listen, here's the thing. You don't find it problematic that your source material from centuries later are the ones identifying him as this angel? Do you not find it strange?
No, listen.
Okay,
we have.
Right.
In Surah Al-Baqarah, says this: قُلْ مَنْ كَانَ عَدُوًا لِجَبْرِيلَ فَإِنَّهُ نَزَلَ قَلْبِكَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ مُصَدَّقًا. Say whoever is an enemy of Jibreel, it is he who brought the Quran down. Like, look at the verse. It's in Surah Al-Baqarah. Like, this is all. Like, did you read the Quran?
Yes.
Okay, go to Surah Al-Baqarah. Let me give you the which verse. Surah Al-Baqarah. Wait, because I going off memory. Surah. Wait, Quran. What do you guys use? Quran.com? Because I don't know.
I use QuranX.com.
Okay, Surah Al-Baqarah.
You're talking about 297?
Wait, let me see.
Surah Al-Baqarah 297. Here, let me see.
Is it the same one I just said?
I believe so. I'm bringing it up right now. I looked it up on Google to see which one it was, and then it gave me the verse. So now I'm looking up.
Here we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Right, okay. So, say whoever is an enemy to Gabriel, for he brings down the revelation to thy heart by Allah's will, a confirmation of what went before, and a guidance and glad tidings for those who believe. Sure. Okay, great. So it does say that it was Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
so the Prophet already knew that even before this.
If the Prophet knew it, then why did Waraka have to tell him?
Because let me tell you, the Prophet at the time, you're talking about a time where they prayed to.
So sorry. Hold on one second.
Hello.
Hold on one sec. If you don't mind, Brother Maverick, is Gabriel's name in quotation marks?
Gabriel?
Yeah.
In QuranX.com, I don't see it in quotations. No.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hash.
Yeah, okay. So even like it goes back to the same. It's a normal human reaction to be afraid of something supernatural. It's a normal human reaction.
Right. We've already granted.
So yeah, we've established this, and we've also established that this entity that you said was a demon has identified himself to the Prophet, and in the Quran we have proof as well. Not just in hadith.
When did he identify himself?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it does matter.
Why does it matter? I just showed you proof in the Quran that it's the angel Gabriel.
Because you brought it up, number one, and number two, because
what about the premise you disagree with?
Okay, Hash, because you are willingly ignoring the fact that fear was not the only factor, which you and I have already gone over, right? I already transparently admitted to you that there was fear on every time. What you're doing is you're ignoring everything else that came of it, which from your own prophet's words, of course. If the entity later started calling itself Gabriel and saying that to Muhammad, because Muhammad started believing that, it wouldn't matter, because a demon can lie without issue. There's no problem with that. My question to you is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to give a lot of, respectfully, you're giving a lot of Islamic dogma for explanation about how people are going to react to revelation, but you're ignoring the rest of the encounter. Because you can talk about the fear all you want. No problem. I grant you that they were all afraid. What you are ignoring Is Muhammad saying, I feel like I've been possessed by a jinn, trying to jump off of a cliff, feeling like he was going to lose his life at the fact that this thing kept repeatedly squeezing him? There's nothing in history from the angel Gabriel doing anything like that. Do you have any kind of manuscripts, any kind of history showing that there was the angel Gabriel encountering another human being and having a similar experience to what Muhammad had?
Okay, so you think what this demon is? It what is it part? Does it follow Satan, for example? What is this demon? Like, what is it?
Well, there's only two sides, brother. So what would you think? Of course.
So okay, so if this demon follows Satan, then why in Islam we hate Satan? Like, does that make sense to you?
Yes. You want to know exactly why? You want me to answer that question honestly? Because you guys can say you hate Satan, right? Let's say you hate somebody, but you're helping his cause every single day. It doesn't matter how much you hate him. Because you guys in the acts of the Quran you deny the divinity of Jesus Christ. You deny the crucifixion. Muhammad,
okay, but it's not just us; it's also the Jews as well.
That brother, I'm not talking to a Jewish person right now. I'm speaking with you.
I understand, but also is it also for Moses was a demon?
That doesn't follow. How does that follow?
Okay, but like you told me, the Jews now only pray to one. They pray to one God, right?
Okay, here, let me go back to your question.
And so do we.
Right. How does it follow?
No, they don't think Jesus is God.
Hash. I need you to slow down, brother, because you're getting off the point on me. You're talking about Moses now. You're talking about the demons. Moses, first of all, chronologically, right, through a temporal lens, Muhammad came after Jesus Christ. Did Moses come after Jesus Christ or before Jesus Christ?
No problem.
No. I'm asking you the question. Did Muhammad come before Jesus Christ or after Jesus Christ? After. Thank you. So Muhammad bringing the original laws where God was establishing a covenant with Israel has nothing to do with Muhammad later on trying to pull people away from the Messiah who shed his blood for us. You're trying to establish a correlation where none exists. So now I ask you again, you see what, now I want you to notice what you did here, brother. Again, respectfully, okay?
Yeah,
we talked about the rest of the adversity that Muhammad went through in the cave, and you started talking about Moses.
Okay,
now,
no problem.
I'm going to ask you again. We can talk about the fear, no problem. The difference is I have an entire debate brief here that makes it clear. Look, here, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do you one better.
No,
because I can't show the PDF.
Because you told me you said it was a demon. I said I don't agree with that premise. You said it was a demon, and you said we follow the work of Satan.
Then why? If
Satan,
it wasn't a demon, okay. So here, let me ask you this: do you believe that when your prophet said things, it's something that you should hold in reverence? If Muhammad says something, it's something you should respect. Okay, your prophet said that he felt like he was possessed by a jinn.
Yes, okay, but it wasn't.
So if your prophet said he felt like he was possessed by a jinn, and at no point did he clarify that it wasn't a jinn, because that jinn started identifying himself as Gabriel based on something that Waraka said to Muhammad, and Waraka had no way to know what was in that cave with him. Waraka was just saying whatever he thought was going to make Muhammad feel better, because that's what human beings do. He didn't want Muhammad to take his own life. He didn't want Muhammad to throw himself off a cave. He didn't want Muhammad to feel like he was possessed by a jinn. So he told him that it wasn't a jinn. But my question to you is, you're saying that it couldn't have been, but you're doing that absent any evidence because, again, you ignored the rest of what he did. Why would Gabriel squeeze your prophet to the point of him not being able to breathe?
Okay. First of all, you're just assuming what Waraka meant to do. You don't know that. You don't have any proof.
I don't know that. I'm telling you that that's what human beings do. But at the end of the day, it does not negate the fact that Waraka didn't know who was in that cave. Waraka had no idea who was there.
The wives of the Prophet Khadija brought to him, and he explained the situation, and he assumed it was Gabriel. No problem. You said, why did Gabriel squeeze him? Allahu A'lam. I don't know. He wanted him to recite.
Thank you.
That's why. Allahu A'lam means only God knows.
And so so that brings
one second,
us,
but I want.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. No problem. Go ahead.
You told me that we follow Satan. It was a demon who created the Quran, because of course you cannot deny that the Quran is like revelation, because you know how amazing it is. Okay, because you cannot explain who made the Quran, you cannot explain who authored it, so you say it was a demon. No problem. Why? What about Islam? Do you think it's satanic? Because we deny the divinity of Jesus. Okay, no problem. I also tell you, I bring in a verse from the Quran that Jesus foretold that a prophet will come. His name is Ahmed, and so this is a verse. So we believe that Jesus never claimed divinity.
Okay,
And the Quran is
and
clear.
that's fine. But do you see how you are now waffling into additional subject matter? Because we can talk at length
No,
about the fact that hold on, brother, hold on. I know, and we're just talking here. We're talking like brothers. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You can talk about what you think Jesus said about Ahmed. Okay, the problem with that is that despite the fact that there is no manuscript in history that has Jesus saying anything like that, it's still inconsequential to this conversation, right? What you're doing is you are trying to ignore the fact that when Gabriel, dude, I mean, I have, look, I'll show it to my audience for the sake of it. I have an entire debate brief showing all Muslim, Islamic, and biblical sources for what we have on the angel Gabriel. Okay. I even have a table. Look, feature, biblical Gabriel, Hira encounter, earliest Islamic sources, self-identification, initial effect, physical treatment, message clarity, continuity with prior revelation, and the aftermath. Unfortunately, brother, there's nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, in our history, manuscript or otherwise, that makes it clear that what your prophet encountered in that cave was angelic or from the real God. So the thing about it is, Hash Brown, we come to an impasse because I know that what you're doing now is you're just kind of spewing everything you've been taught. But at the end of the day, you can't ignore any of this, because if a behavior pattern is established, Gabriel is not going to go out of his way and just go into a cave and smack some poor guy around and tell him to read.
He didn't smack him around, did he?
Brother, squeezing him to the point where Muhammad clearly stated he could not take it. That's abuse. He was physically abused.
Can I ask you a question?
And I'm not trying to be blasphemous.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have something I have to address really quick.
Go ahead.
Brother Maverick, I need to ask you, because this is your platform and I just bring up people, but you decide if the people are allowed. Central Dawa wants to debate you specifically on this topic in 30 minutes, but given what he did, I don't know if you want to even bring him up here.
Given what he did about
the whole racist stuff, it's up to you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna platform that guy. The thing is, I've spoken to him before. And his repeated dishonesty and everything like that. It's like, I understand he's trying to run his hustle. I don't have a problem with that. But Central Dawa has been up before, and he's been caught in a lot of lies. He's been caught being very dishonest.
I feel like we finally deplatformed him, and I don't want to give him that platform again.
I'll respect Central Dawa. I mean, if you want to say I'm running, brother, you say whatever you want. I have debated you before. I have debated you and defeated you on the divinity of Christ. You came in and you got defeated, and you ran from Avery about Daniel 2 and Muhammad being in that. So it's up to you, brother. I mean, if you think that I need to continue to give you a platform, hey, brother, you got your own platform, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't owe you anything, man. Like I said, the only thing I owe you, brother, is prayer, and that's all I'm going to do for you. All right?
Yeah, you had your own platform, and you kind of did what you did on it, but you're not going to do that here.
Yeah, you don't get to just call other Christians the N-word and think that we're just going to look the other way on that stuff. And it's not the first time you do something like that. Go ahead, Johnny. What you going to say?
Well, I mean, I was going to ask before you guys mentioned the N-word stuff and all that.
Yeah.
If I could speak to him on Galatians 3, but after that, I'll leave it be, because I don't want to have him platform.
Yeah, Johnny. I mean, you have your own channel, brother. You could, if you want to speak to him, you're more than welcome. But I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't. That's just my advice.
I don't. Yeah, don't platform him anymore, Johnny. This guy just needs to be left in 2025.
Oh yeah. So you're. I'm sorry, Central, but you've made it clear that you're a racist. And the other day I was actually watching Brother George cook you on your own channel too, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be a distraction. But I actually recorded it, and I'm thinking about uploading it to my channel. Because you were being so willingly disingenuous, despite the fact that he was giving you an analogy that you couldn't contend with. So you kind of just started repeating yourself, hoping that he was going to answer the way you wanted him to. So yeah, I don't know, brother. Like I said, you're able to say whatever you want, Central. But at the end of the day, you've always been brought up here, and nobody's ever run from you. You've debated people here. You've debated me. I mean, you were the one who appealed to a heretical sect of Christianity and tried to say that because they made a claim that Jesus wasn't crucified, therefore there are people that agree with the Quran that Jesus wasn't crucified. And you appeal to a group of people that actually never believed that Jesus existed in physical form anyway. So this is the type of person you are, but it's okay. It's all good,
Muslims
man.
do that. They love to appeal to non-Christians for Christian theology. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's all
By the way,
good. Central. I pray that one day your heart is softened and you see the truth, brother, because your videos are easy to debunk, and you're arguing. I mean, you're a blatant, and you're a liar, brother. I'm telling you straight out, you're a liar. Like when you were debating Grafted, you debated and you say you don't have a second device, and then I look at you on camera and you're clearly looking down at a second device, and it's like you lie for unnecessarily, and it's like at some points you just don't want to deal with people like that anymore.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. You can go back to it. He was just I didn't want him to think that I was gonna just reject his request. This is not my platform, but I do know where Maverick's morality stands, and I do think that him and I stand together when saying that we don't think that it's appropriate to make racist comments anywhere.
Yeah, amen. So, that's just not for me, man. And you know what? I know Q-Top and Avery and them, they'll ignore it, but I'm not gonna ignore it. You don't get to treat people like that, because we would never do it to you. And if we did, it'd be the end of the world and you guys would never stop talking about it. So back to it, Hash Brown. I'm sorry, brother. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Look, because I'll be honest, I don't know the Bible, so I'm gonna use Google.
Okay, go ahead.
You said because I know the Quran. To be honest,
well, you're honest.
I don't
Thanks for being honest.
Brother, I have no problem with that. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're honest.
So
That's good.
None of the people, they weren't afraid of an angel when they first. You said usually they identify themselves, and the people are not afraid, right?
Yeah.
So Daniel was
no. That's not what I said.
Wait.
I didn't say they weren't afraid. I'm sorry. I misheard. I didn't say they weren't afraid. I have said to you several times, and there are witnesses that I made it clear that they were afraid. And here in my contrast table, it makes it clear that if we're looking at the feature in self-identification, right? All we got to do is go through the first 3 of 6, where he names himself as Gabriel in Daniel 8:16 and in Luke 1:19, right? And that is the biblical Gabriel. In the Hira encounter, he was identified. He was identified later by Waraka, not by the visitor in the cave. Now, again, going back, I'm only walking you through this real quick, brother. Let me land real quick, okay? Yeah. If we go to the feature of initial effect, it says that in the Bible they had fear, which were met with words of peace. Do not be afraid. Gabriel was known to say the words, "Do not be afraid." Right?
But he didn't. Okay, let me ask you a question.
And then the physical treatment, there was no harm or crushing recorded by any of them, nor was it asserted by any of them. And there was message clarity, which was immediate explanation and interpretation.
Okay, but when according to Google, tell me Google is wrong. An angel touched Daniel and his strength vanished. This is true?
Correct.
Okay, so
but he didn't.
So
it's not Daniel 2. Hold on, is that Daniel 10?
It says Daniel 10, yeah.
Right. Does it say, or is that Gabriel? Does it say that it's Gabriel?
Okay, but Gabriel's not an angel?
Yeah, no. That's not, brother. Hold on. Don't start being dishonest now.
No, I'm not being dishonest.
You're talking about something in Daniel 10. Was the angel in Daniel 10 identified as Gabriel? Because different angels have different, they have different messages, and they have different styles. They have different missions from God. So we're talking specifically about Gabriel, okay? What you can't do is you can't go later and say, but this angel did this, but this theophany did that. No, we're talking specifically about Gabriel, brother.
Okay, but then if it wasn't great, if it was
hold on, Hash, and Johnny wants to clarify something about Daniel 10 for you. Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, go.
Yeah, so he's alluding to Daniel 10, verse 10, which says, "Suddenly a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palms of my hands." We can't stop there. You got to keep reading. So verse 11, "And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for I have been sent to you. While he was speaking this word to me, I stood trembling." And it continues, verse 12, "Then he said to me, do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words." I believe I actually have this verse on a shirt that I have, but anyways, moving on, sorry. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, this is something disputed as to who this is specifically, so we'll just move on from that, "withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone," and just describing the angel's experiences. There's a specific part. Give me 1 second. Let me find the specific part so I don't bore you here.
No worries, no.
But while he's looking for that, Hash, I do appreciate that you are genuinely attempting to engage in the conversation and teaching yourself about scripture and being honest. I have no problem with you not knowing the Bible. I wouldn't expect you to have a whole lot of knowledge about the Bible. So I don't want you to think that we're making fun of you or anything like that. I really do 100% appreciate
to
your
be
honesty.
honest, respectfully, I don't want to know too much. I'm just for the sake of this argument. That's why.
I got you. No problem. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. So this is verses 18 and 19. Then again, the one having a likeness of man, this is the creature that appeared to Daniel. The man touched me and strengthened me. And he said, "O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong." So when he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, "Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me." So although the power, it's not that he was like in the instance of the Cave of Hira, the creature, the angel was not crushing Daniel or punching him or whatever, not harming him physically. He touched him, but Daniel as a man, and keep in mind, Daniel's also like in his 80s, 90s, I'm not sure how, but he was on his old age at that point.
He was old, yeah. He was older already.
So this old man standing before this, angelic creature, it's just gonna have physical effects on him. But then when you keep reading, this creature is strengthening Daniel and trying to uplift him and encourage him. So I'll leave it there. There's a lot of stuff in this chapter, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you for the clarification, Johnny, because there is definitely a difference. And again, that was not Gabriel. It was another angel. Yeah, it was another angel. But the thing is, that angel, even in making physical contact, was not abusive in his physical contact.
Okay, but I want to be honest with you, okay? First of all, I don't believe he was abusive. This is your opinion. This what happened. This is your opinion. He squeezed him. It doesn't mean he was abusive. That's one. Second of all, you said that what you said, like assuming, because I don't believe in the Bible, it's assuming it's true and comparing both the stories. This to me looks like this proves to me that whoever what visited the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was an angel. This is my opinion from what I read, because this proves to me, because you see examples. You said there's no examples. I gave you one.
No, hold on. So let's stop right there.
Let me finish and you can continue.
All right, go ahead.
And also, if you say it wasn't Gabriel, it was a demon, I don't agree with this, because we preach monotheism. We condemn idols. If you read the Quran,
I'm gonna stop you right there, because has nothing to do. What you're doing now is you are entering into Muslim dogma, and it's unnecessary because you're gonna get into the whole we're monotheists and this and that. That has nothing to do with anything. Okay. What I'm trying to explain to you is, respectfully, you gave me an example that at best can be looked at as a non sequitur, because the example that you gave did not in any way equate what happened between Gabriel and the entity in the Cave of Hira, nor did you even give an example that was with Gabriel, right? That would be like the police interviewing two witnesses and somebody saying, well, Maverick did X, Y, and Z, but Hash Brown did something else, and you try to use what I did as an example to model your behavior. No. Two completely different things, right? Two completely different angels. And you're talking about Daniel being touched by a different angel that was not Gabriel, because we know when Gabriel gave revelation, he came on behalf of the Almighty to give revelation, immediately made sure that he did not receive any worship, that they were not afraid. And again, you're trying.
How do you know it's not Gabriel?
Brother, because I already told you, because Gabriel's behavior pattern has been established in Daniel and in Luke and his encounters. Brother, let me talk. All right. Yeah. In his encounters with Daniel, with Zechariah, with Mary, he always said the same thing. There's no way you're going to convince me that an angel of light, someone whose wisdom is beyond both yours and mine understanding, is going to change his behavior pattern, and whether you want to acknowledge it as such or not, go into a cave and squeeze a human being to the point where he could not take it. Now, if that's not abuse to you, I don't want to know what qualifies as abuse, because that, I'm sorry, is 100% abusive behavior. Repeated squeezing, and he did it more than once, okay? Commanding him to recite knowing that he can't, and causing terror, and then not getting any sort of clarification. I'm sorry, brother, that's not Gabriel. And Waraka, again, if you and have an encounter 5 miles away from your house, and you run all the way home, tell your family members what happened to you, and your wife's cousin says, "Oh, I know, that was Peter." How do you know? You weren't there. You have no idea who it was. You're making an assumption based on absolutely nothing, because if Waraka was a Christian, he clearly had never read the Bible, because there's nothing in the Bible that indicates that Gabriel would ever compose himself in that manner.
First of all, the Bible you have today is not the Bible the Arabs had at the time, because there was no King James Bible. There was no. It was
brother. Again, that's not. That is inconsequential, because you know why it's inconsequential? Because you have no manuscript evidence showing us that what you guys. First of all, it's already been proven that the Bible that existed in the 7th century is the same one we have today. That's through manuscript and historical evidence. No matter what, even if it was
according
corrupted,
to academic
brother,
sources.
No, there's what academic sources?
No, I'm saying even according to sources, the same.
Which ones? You can't say, brother. Don't say sources if you're not going to identify them.
I'm asking you a question. When was the first Bible written?
The first Bibles were codified in the 3rd century. The original manuscripts were already being written a couple of years after the events of the crucifixion. So the difference is you don't know what you're confusing is you think that because the Bible wasn't codified until a certain time and compiled, right, and canonized, that the churches didn't already have tens of thousands of manuscripts, which they had already been using.
No problem. Teach me. When was the first? Show me the manuscripts. I'll Google it
again.
now.
It's inconsequential to the argument. You were trying to obfuscate. You were trying to obfuscate from what happened to you. You know what's crazy about this? This is your prophet. This is your prophet making it clear that this is what happened to him. This isn't me making it up. This isn't Brother Maverick rewriting history. This is Muhammad stating that he felt like he was possessed by a jinn.
Okay. Let me answer. You said, according to the Bible, Gabriel presents himself in this certain way. I said, no problem. I asked you, when was the Bible written? You told me it was codified in 3rd century. The earliest manuscripts, the church have them. I said, no problem. Okay, show me the evidence that there were the manuscripts that they came during Jesus' time, and I will believe. I'll believe
what?
you.
Show you the evidence that what?
The earliest manuscripts at the time of Jesus.
The earliest manuscripts at the time of Jesus.
You said, the church was collecting them.
What? Hold on. What are you asking me?
I'm asking you. You believe the Bible is the same Bible at the time of Jesus. This is the message he preached, right?
Okay, no, brother. Hold on. Let me back up, because you're not understanding what I'm actually saying. Okay.
Yeah.
You do
Hash,
understand that
slow down, because I think
Jesus,
you confused him.
You're not confused. You're not tracking what I'm saying. When Jesus was alive, he preached from and read from the Old Testament, the Torah. Okay, Jesus was a Jewish man, and he preached from the Torah. After the events of the crucifixion is when the oral traditions started becoming written traditions in manuscripts, and copyists and scribes started making sure that those manuscripts were being copied and distributed. You do understand that this process started so early that it was impossible for any one heretic to change the manuscripts, because they would have had to have changed thousands, especially by the time your prophet was born. So it doesn't even sound like you really know how the manuscripts came into being, because there was 5,800 Greeks and over 10,000 altogether. We have over 20-something thousand manuscripts for the New Testament alone.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that this is the same Bible, because according to Christians, you believe that Paul saw a vision, and then that made him preach to the entire world, right?
Hush. What does that have to do with the prompt, brother?
Because you said Gabriel's behavior according to the Bible. I say I don't agree. I don't think the Bible is correct. Anyways,
even if
that's the issue we come to.
Even if you don't think it's correct, it's inconsequential.
I don't think it's God's word. I don't think it's accurate. That's why I'm asking. That's why I believe.
But you can say that about the Bible. The problem for you is that archaeology and manuscript history completely dismantle that dogma that you're spreading. Now we can get into the Quran and the laughable assertion of perfect preservation, but I'm going to respect my platform and I'm going to stay there, and I'm going to ask you to stop trying to go to the Bible, because when you started this conversation, you had no problem with the examples I was using, but then you started realizing that you were losing control of the conversation, so you started trying to attack the credibility of the Bible. Either way, there is no history, there is no instance in which an angel of light is going to treat a person the way that they did. It's very simple.
I told you from the beginning. This is not me changing my because you think I'm real. This is not like this is a conversation. We're not in a debate. We're having
whatever you want to call it.
No
At the
one's
end of
gonna
the
be a
day,
winner or a loser.
here, let me ask you a simpler question. If now all of a sudden, if you have an issue with the biblical references, no problem. Here, let me help you out now. How could Waraka possibly know who was in the cave with Muhammad?
Waraka studied scripture.
What?
He studied scripture, right?
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a simple common sense question. If Waraka was not there with Muhammad, and the entity obviously did not appear to Waraka, and there's nothing in your source history that states that the entity appeared to Waraka or identified itself as Gabriel, how would Waraka know who was in the cave? Because in biblical history, we never have a third party identifying Gabriel as Gabriel. We have Gabriel identifying himself. He's more than capable of doing that. Why would he not do that with Muhammad?
I told you. Remember what I told you before? I said,
No.
Allahu Alam. Only God knows.
Thank you. So I guess I guess we're at an impasse then, right? Because if this is true,
we just hit did we really just hit Allahu Alam? Is that what we really just
that's where
did?
we're at.
Allahu Alam.
That's where we're
Allahu
at.
Alam, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu
Allahu
Alam.
Akbar.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at already.
No, it's not even that. We have lots of things in Islam. We say only God knows.
Yeah.
This is. But even then, like I still don't understand. Like this, what's the issue?
The issue, brother, is that you wanted to attack the credibility of the Bible because you didn't like that when we look at the biblical instances of Muhammad in the Cave of Hira, it does not line up with the actual behavior of an angel of light. As from everything that it's brother, it's not opinion. I have eyes, I can read, right?
Yeah, okay. If you can read, then you know Islam.
So would you think that an angel of light? Can angels do evil? If it's truly an angel of light, is it going to do evil to someone?
No.
Okay. Do you think that squeezing someone and making them recite when they can't read and making them feel like they're possessed and making them feel like they want to take their own life?
Yeah, but if this is in your opinion, okay. So we believe that Angel Gabriel came with the revelation. You think it's an evil deed that he came with the revelation, telling Muhammad to recite? Alayhi salatu wasalam.
Revelation, yeah.
That's not the
Okay,
argument.
if you believe this is evil,
that is not
we
the
believe
argument. That is not the argument at all.
It's because we believe in different things. That's the issue.
Brother, that is not the issue. That's not the issue. Not the issue at all. That is not the issue at all. The issue is
can I say something really quick?
You are trying to look at the actions of the entity and you're trying to hand wave them because you know that if you acknowledge them, it's devastating for you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Acknowledge what?
So no, hash. Listen, really quick, brother. Let me let you in on something really quick. When you, as a Muslim, right, when you take Islam and you say that you believe in Allah because Muhammad brought you the Quran, right? You can't actually then tell Maverick that according to how he got revelation and how he had an experience with Gabriel, it's completely fine when you as a Muslim are claiming that Islam is the continuation, right, of previous words. So that being said, remember that as a Muslim, if Islam is continuation, you cannot tell Brother Maverick, it doesn't matter. That's your opinion. Those scriptures that Brother Maverick is giving you in regards to the experiences that people have with Angel Gabriel, when you start throwing them in the trash and saying that's your opinion and it doesn't matter, then you're actually telling Brother Maverick right now, right here, that the Quran is not really a continuation of Christianity. It just wants to trick Christians into thinking that it is, and we're actually going to give you the interpretation of what angel experiences should be. That's crazy.
No, because first of all, because you guys preach.
Don't say we believe, because I'm an ex-Muslim man. I know exactly what you believe and I don't care. Okay. I'm just telling you so that
What
you
do I
can
believe in?
have an easier conversation with Brother Maverick. I'm trying to help you have an easier conversation with him. Okay. You can't tell him that it doesn't matter when, as a Muslim, you're supposed to be the continuation, right, of all of these angel experiences. So when he gives you those angel experiences and you don't have anything to counter it, meaning you don't have other people who said they had those similar angel experiences except for Muhammad, then you can't actually use that argument. I'm trying to help you. Don't debate me. Talk to Brother Maverick.
No, but you talk to me, so you can't talk to me.
That's fine. But if you debate me, I'm just letting you know I'm going to embarrass you. So be careful.
No, it's fine. You're not gonna embarrass.
Okay.
But
I am, because you're getting defensive. You're running away from his argument. So if you get defensive, I'm going to put you in your place, and this is not going to be a conversation anymore. So don't get defensive. I'm trying to help you.
Defensive about what? What did I defend?
It's all
You're
good.
trying to be
It's okay, brother.
defensive.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good, because this is I know what's going on. He's going to continue to try to engage you word, because that gives him the way
No
to
problem.
not
I'll engage with you.
the
No
subject
problem.
matter.
I'll engage with you.
So
No problem.
at the end of the day, brother, are you telling me that you have no way to explain why the entity in the Cave of Hira did not identify itself as an angel of light, as Gabriel? You don't have a way to explain that, right?
No, look. First of all, we established that the angel Gabriel didn't identify himself in the beginning. This is you know the hadith. I brought it to you.
When did he identify himself?
No, I told you he didn't identify himself in the beginning.
I know when. Right? When did he identify himself?
We don't know when, but we know that it was the angel Gabriel.
So here's the thing then. What you're saying is that Surah 1097 is then rendered moot from my standpoint, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the only reason the Quran says that the angel Gabriel was the one delivering the Quran is because Waraka said that to Muhammad. So
you believe because Waraka said that to Muhammad, it was the angel, that's why. So who made it up? The demon? The demon made it up and he followed Waraka's word?
The demon made what up? No,
the demon made
no.
Waraka say
If Waraka said that's Gabriel, and that's how Muhammad started referring to him, the demon never had to identify itself or even lie about who it was, because Muhammad started assuming that it was Gabriel.
Okay, so then it wasn't the demon that gave him the Quran, it was Muhammad making it up.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
No, it does, because I want you to, because then you need to explain to me how a prophet and who doesn't know how to read or write make the Quran.
He didn't. He was illiterate. Other people had to scribe it out for him.
Who?
Muhammad didn't write a single letter of the Quran.
I know. Okay, then who wrote it?
Whoever his scribes were.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
As a Muslim, as a Muslim, you should know Muhammad didn't physically write it. You know that,
didn't
right?
Write anything.
Okay, so Zayd ibn Thabit made it up then?
Well, the people who wrote it were whoever were dictating it as he was saying it, but Muhammad didn't write a thing.
Okay, so then Muhammad did say it and they wrote it down. He didn't have help then.
He did have help, because he had to tell people when they had to write it. What are you talking about?
Okay, this is news to me. Who helped him?
Wait, you don't know that Muhammad didn't write the Quran?
No, I know he didn't write the Quran. I know the Prophet didn't know how to read or write. You told me he had help.
Yeah, he had scribes. He had people who would write things down that he claimed were revelation from Allah.
I understand, but you told me that he had help to make the Quran, to make it up, right? Or is that's not what you said?
What?
Okay, so what did you mean then? If he had help, then these words Muhammad was speaking was from what? From a demon?
Yes.
So you think it was a demon that told him to stop worshipping? Okay, then why would the demon tell him this? The Arabs were already lost. They were already worshipping idols.
No. There was a lot of people who were worshiping Jesus Christ as God.
Okay, but Muhammad was from Mecca. So majority of the people in Mecca were already preaching idols. Why would the demon do this? This doesn't make sense.
To continue to ensure that they never did come to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay. So this is so then we're at an impasse, because you believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. Alhamdulillah, I don't think a demon. I don't believe in a religion of a demon.
Okay,
this is your opinion,
brother. Agree to disagree, but I do appreciate the conversation, man. Thank you so much for at least being genuine, and you're welcome to call back anytime, man. Thank you so much.
No worries, thank you.
Have a good one, brother. Yeah, guys, I at the end, before, I cut this recording down, I don't know where he was coming from. I think that initially he started off very genuine, and then he just kind of botted out on me and started using examples that he clearly knew were not Gabriel. He said he was going to use Google. Obviously, Google did not tell him this was Gabriel. It gave him more of a generic. Yes, there were instances when an angel made someone feel X, Y, and Z, but even then, the example that he gave had nothing to do with Gabriel. This was a separate instance from Daniel 10, and where Daniel was already at least in his 80s, maybe early 90s, and he fell, and this was in more of an astonishment after being touched by the angel. And this is it's so different than looking at the Cave of Hira and saying, yes, you got thrown around and you got squeezed and you got told to recite, knowing fully well that you couldn't, and that you felt like you were possessed. Nobody in biblical history, after dealing with an angel of light, felt like they were possessed by a jinn, and definitely didn't have to have their cousin tell them who it was. Man, this is just, Jesus is king, baby, and nothing gonna change that.